morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Having a rough morning, actually. How are you?
Having a really terrible morning. As you notice, I'm here in Salem.
Why does that automatically mean it's a terrible morning?
It's my day off, and it would have been nice to be at home. And not.
Oh.
It would have been nice.
Okay.
I got stuff
that makes
I gotta
more
do.
sense now.
Yeah.
That
And
makes more sense.
I believe I'm coming down a little cold, so I'm not feeling
okay.
today.
I overslept. I didn't get up as early as I wanted to today.
I hate that.
Right?
I hate that. Well, it just throws me for a loop when I have a morning plan and it doesn't work. And that happened today. And I woke up to really no internet in my house, and I wasn't going to deal. So I got in the car and drove.
Oh boy.
Because I'm like, where am I going to go? The library? But here I am. I'm at the temple, and I'm having a good time.
Beautiful.
Having a lovely morning.
Well, I had meant to talk to Tim and get back to Tim. He had asked me a bunch of questions, and I didn't get a chance to talk to him. I was trying to halt the broadcast right before we went live, and that didn't work. So we're just going to totally wing it, and we'll do everything on the fly.
Yeah, that's the way we do it. Sometimes.
No, that's not the way we do it. We actually do go over things a little bit when people ask questions about if they, should say certain things live or not. So It's like, anyway, like I said, having a rough morning.
Okay.
Yeah. So, dreams, right?
Yes, we are. We're talking about dreams.
The song that introduces the psychic teas is now the subject of the 9th installment of the Making Magic series, which is what we're doing, is a series of, helping to hopefully educate people about the different things that are in the toolbox of the witch, right?
Absolutely.
So, that's what the Making Magic series is all about, is
what kind of power,
teaching people the things that are available to them.
Yeah.
And so, and dreams is a major one for a lot of people. And I think one of the reasons that I expect that this is going to be one where a lot of people are going to hopefully contribute and have a bunch of questions is because everybody dreams at one time in their life or another. I guess perhaps there are some people out there that don't dream at all, but I think that's probably really rare because dreams are a function of the brain. It's part of how the brain kind of catalogs the day and processes the things that happen during the day. And it's an important, just from a scientific standpoint, it's an important part of brain function. And maybe you don't always remember your dreams, and maybe a lot of them are sort of unremarkable, but they are something that happens, and that is a way that we can tap into our, layers of the mind that have an immense amount of power if we know how to use it. So I'm excited about this. I'm very excited about it.
Excellent. I'm glad.
So what is the card
of the day?
Card of the day?
Well, it is the 3 of coins. And the 3 of coins is actually a very, very, I don't know. I think it's very appropriate, especially now where I think that individuals need other people. Okay. So the 3 of coins really work with teamwork, and it talks about working with someone. Okay. And how partnership works. Okay. I think it's important that maybe today we all work together. It was funny. I was on the phone with a friend, and I was like, hey, girl, it's actually Rachel, and I know she's listening to us today. Let's pull a card. and she got a deck from my boyfriend, and it's called the Villain deck, and the Three of Pentacle is literally, from Lion King, the three little hyenas that go rah 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 to each other. That's literally the card. But I am looking at the Three of Pentacles not as like hyenas working together to kill a king, but more so to rise yourself up. Because when we work together and we are working on the same page, especially in trade, we can help each other. Like businesses and other people helping each other achieve their goals. Especially, this is a card for artists and for people who want to create new things. There's different parts of working together, and it's like making it a whole working machine that actually creates success. You can pair off the Three of Pentacle with some of other cards. So especially if you're looking for love and you see the Three of Pentacles and the lovers together, that is like an effortless collaboration that creates harmony. So that's how I see the three. I see it's harmony, working together. It's a sense of balance. I always like to see when I see cards that have the importance being teamwork, it kind of reduces a lot of stress in my life. So when I get this card and I choose it for myself, so I know that the community, which is my friends, are going to help me reduce some chaos in my life, whether it's through business or personal. And I actually am open enough to receive that help.
For me, with Pentacles, obviously, there are many layers in terms of money. It's always been associated, with finances. It's coins in a lot of decks. It's not pentacles, it's coins. And of course, because it's an earthy energy, regardless, it's going to be the creature comforts. It's going to be the physical things in our lives and stuff. And all that requires money, pretty much. But it also is our inner circle and our who we put where. And so the three being with you saying it has to do with collaboration, it has to do with cooperation. There's also a layer of trust that is inherent in that, and there are people that you feel safe collaborating with, and there are people that you don't feel safe collaborating with. So it's also, I think we need an intuition card kind of to come in. And this is where maybe the dream work, make the teamwork, making the dream work, making the teamwork, not just the teamwork making the dream work, where we need to suss out who is really on the team and who's not really on the team, who is portraying themselves as, rowing in the same direction as you, and who is really not doing anything at all to row in the same direction as you. Maybe they're just jumping in the boat and not necessarily doing any of the rowing, right? We used to call these the good time girls, where we would say, oh, so-and-so, always wants to be in on the good stuff, always wants to be, collaborating when the good stuff's happening, but never wants to actually put any of the effort forth. You know what I mean? So it's like, that kind of comes to mind too lately with some of the things that have been going on. So maybe that's something to ponder as well, as we ponder our team and who's on the team and how we can, you were mentioning reducing stress and how you can, rely on others and know that you're supported by that team. We also have to figure out who belongs on the team. You know what I mean? So like, who's real, who's genuine, and who's not. Because when good things are happening, lots of people show up. It's when the chips are down that you have to see like who actually is real. So it's worth thinking about, certainly.
Yes, it is.
So,
Okay. And the crystal of the day?
ah, so obviously, and I actually think Tina's out there with her notebook because she's like, I want to talk about, I want to hear about the crystals that help with dream work. Yes. So, first of all, I want to say that you've probably heard me talk about several of these before, and I'm just going to keep reiterating it. So, one of them is going to be amethyst, right? We talk about this in Awakening the Crystals. We talk about amethyst and how powerful it is for all psychic work. So it's a powerhouse of psychic work. How could I not include it? But today I'm specifically going to talk about Super 7. And Super 7 is a mineral that has 7 different minerals all coexisting in the same space. These things don't live in a vacuum. They oftentimes will grow together, right? And Super 7 is an incredible amethyst. It's not just amethyst, though. So it's also cacoxenite, goethite, lepidocrosite, rutile, smoky quartz, and clear quartz. And so it's usually, you will see visually, most prominently, probably the clear quartz, the amethyst, and the smoky. Those you'll be able to see pretty readily. Some have paler amethyst in it, some have darker. But then you might look deeper and you'll see a little bit of that black goethite, a little bit of that flash of the lepidocrosite, a little bit of the line of the rutile. You've got to look for these things, and so that's Super 7. Super 7 is so powerful. Think about all 7 of those existing in one crystal. It's so powerful. So I can't say enough. And smoky, we talk about in Awakening the Crystals, we talk about smoky being really good for dream work. It's we liken it to a dream catcher in the book. It is. It's the lightest kind of protective grounding that I would use for any kind of dream work. Anything heavier than that, I don't think you're going to get lift off, So the fact that Super 7 has smoky in it, that makes it super powerful too, and makes that a good choice. But smoky by itself is also great because, like I said, it's a little bit like a dream catcher. Sid, you were saying that, you have bad dreams often. You probably need a little bit more of the protection while you're sleeping. You need a little more of the filter. Epidote in prehnite. So for those of you that have been on the Crystal Coven, you've seen me talk about epidote in prehnite. So epidote by itself, really turns the volume up on pretty much everything. But it's particularly effective to enhance prehnite, and prehnite is excellent for dream work. And another one would be dumortierite. That's that blue vein, right? Dumortierite, especially for lucid dreaming and astral travel. And I know some people were going to ask about that. So we want to also wrap a little bit of that probably into the talk today if we get the time. And the last one I'm going to mention is grape agate. Amazing for dreams and visions and working dream magic, and also using it for intense meditation if you meditate right before you sleep, to kind of get into that headspace before you dream. Grape agate is an excellent choice for that. So those are the crystals I would recommend. Hope you got all of that. You can always watch the playback. Keep that in mind. If you missed anything, watch the playback.
You know what I need? I need a crystal that, let's pretend it is Mercury retrograde again, as my computer's just blowing up.
Oh, man.
Well, I drove all the way here for novel internet. I'm watching.
I don't know. The crystals that help with the internet are the ones that are probably in the computers. Believe it or not, I'm sitting here talking to you on a little machine that's got tons of little crystals in it. So,
yes. Which ones are the ones that help?
I wish I had a crystal that would help keep the internet from going down in Revere, but I don't know that I necessarily.
Something's happening right now. to my computer. Everything's moving really slow. You look like you're in slow motion. I don't know if I do too, but everything's in
No.
slow motion. It's so
No,
weird.
you are fine. You are
Okay.
fine.
Okay, I'm just going to pretend because your voice is completely normal, but you're moving like a robot. And I'm like, oh my God, why is this happening to me right now?
Oh my God. No,
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm
it's
like,
perfect over here. It's perfect over here.
all right, so I'm not
Like,
going to.
you're moving right. You're sounding. Everybody out there, are we moving regularly?
No, everybody's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry about that. You're talking, I'm like, ooh.
I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Possession. It's like everything's okay. All right, great.
Yeah, everything's fine.
I think I need a new laptop. That's what I think.
Possibly. How old is your laptop?
I don't want to tell you. I
Okay.
don't want to say it out loud. It's very old.
Then
It's
yes. Then
it's
yes.
older than the store.
Oh, no. If it doesn't have Apple Care on it anymore, get rid of it.
No. Yeah, it's gonna go.
New one every time.
Want a new one.
As soon as the Apple Care runs out, time for a new one.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
I just got new fabulous earbuds. These are amazing.
Oh.
You know how I'm always like, hey, I'm sorry, I gotta turn down. It's like I gotta put you on mute because of the blender, because making a smoothie. It's perfect.
Yeah, the noise canceling. I love mine.
It's a
and
blessing.
On a plane with a screaming child, let me tell you, perfect.
Loving it. It's
yes,
great.
Those are some powerful crystals right there. Anyway, let's talk about the dream work. Let's talk about the dream work for a minute.
Okay. Yes.
Before we even get into the astrology for the month and all of this stuff, I want to go over something specific that was in Awakening the Crystals. I hope everybody out there has a copy of this book. But specifically, I want to talk about making a charm bag for doing dream work and having prophetic dreams. So real quick, you want to do that on a Monday, okay? And you want to do it during the waxing moon. So you want to pick a time between the new moon when you can see it with the naked eye in the sky before the full moon on a Monday. So look in the calendar. There are apps for that. Figure that out. Get a silver mojo bag. You must have them at Pentagram. Am I right?
Yes,
silver
we do.
I have
silver.
I have them at Gallows Hill Witchery, so you must have them. I have them available at Gallows Hill Witchery too. Silver mojo bag. Then we want to place some crystals, whatever ones you choose for your dream work. We've gone over some of the suggestions that I made, and I'm sure you have others. And then you want to basically choose some herbs. Leanne, would you like
stuff in them? I love mugwort in my dream bag. I even love burning it.
Oh, I can't with the mugwort.
You can't. I like the smell. I'm a mugwort person.
Oh God.
All right, we lost Leanne.
Oh God. All right. So she'll be back. She'll be back in a second, I'm sure. She'll reboot or whatever she needs to do. Let me just, oh boy.
She's coming back now. Here we go.
Oh, good.
I am so sorry. I don't know what's happening.
The mugwort took you out.
Of course it does.
The mugwort took you out.
Makes me a little loopy. Helps me sleep. It does increase my dreams.
So a couple of more herbs that you might recommend.
I enjoy mugwort. I love a little wormwood as well. And also, I found out people are allergic to lavender, but lavender has always been a great aid to me to sleep. Yeah. And it does help me not just have dreams, but remember my dreams. Okay. Because
vanilla too.
Yes.
For the remembering. For the remembering
This is crazy. My daughter bought me this body cream, okay?
Yeah.
And it's Bed Bath& and Beyond. I will say this. It's a combination of, and I'm glad you mentioned the vanilla. It is a vanilla scent and also a lavender, and it has the real herb
Yes.
in it, okay? And this is something you can make at home, and I'll tell you, it's easy to make a salve or a cream in a crock pot
Yeah.
at home. Just load up the herbs and maybe some olive oil because that's really good for your skin. And it will allow that to stir and just
Yeah.
boil for at least 12 hours, just constantly going over, making sure that the herb doesn't burn. And then straining it, it turns it into the salve, like the cream I have. And I put it on the dry skin before I go to bed. But now these herbs are in my body, right? And it's helping me not just to have a vivid, lucid dream, okay, which there are two different types of dreams. There's a dream where you
Oh, yeah.
are just watching the dream. Lucid dreaming, you can control your dreams, which is amazing,
Yes.
like having two
Yes.
lives. It helps me to develop that skill because it's a skill
Mhm.
and really work at it. And it's helping me sleep deeper and better. And having more of a restful night's sleep heals the body, the mind, all of it.
Mhm.
It's a complete
Absolutely.
thing.
Absolutely.
I am somebody who can't function if I don't sleep well. I literally will develop stutters. I will not be able to focus, and my ADHD is at a high point. So
Yeah.
anything that makes me neurodivergent is like really in your face if I haven't slept. If I get a restful night, right?
Mhm.
I am restored emotionally and spiritually that I can communicate with everyone in a healthy way. It helps me work all the bullshit in your life. That's when you're working out your shit, is in your sleep.
Oh, yes. Absolutely. So, back to the charm bag. We're gonna put
Yeah.
the herbs and the stones in the charm bag and then seal it up. Then sit in a comfortable position in a place where you're not gonna be disturbed. Close your eyes and take some nice deep breaths. Usually people say like in through the nose and out through the mouth, but just take some nice deep breaths and let go of any of your mundane thoughts and worries and whatever's, bothering you until you feel nice and relaxed and you can focus. Most important part, you have to be able to focus on it. And put the bag in your dominant hand. So figure out which one is your dominant hand. Put the bag in that hand, or you can put the bag on a charging plate, like a selenite charging plate or another type of charging plate. Somebody brought up shungite, and place your dominant hand on top of it. So if you're gonna sit like at an altar or wherever you do your work, and place it on a plate, then you'd want to put the dominant hand on top of the bag. And then you would think of the goal, which is to remember, to have the dreams, to remember them, and for them to bring you psychic information. So you would want to basically say, you know, however you would put it, I want to dream tonight. I want to remember the dreams. I want them to contain psychic information that I need. And you could even list some situations that you're looking for guidance on, or leave it open. Either way, psychic information that I need is good because you might not know what you need. Don't limit yourself, right? I mean, yes, I'm all about writing the fine print, but then there's like, we give the universe a loophole to jump through so that when we don't know what we need, the universe does, right? And then we say, you know, a thank you to whoever it is you're asking. And I'm trying to be as like non-denominational as possible. If you work with deities already and those deities govern sleep, or if there's a pantheon you work with and there are deities that govern sleep and you want to ask them to jump in and help, now's the time, right? But otherwise we're just working with these crystals and working with these herbs and activating them and asking them to do this job. And then you want to feed the bag with a little bit of oil. And Leanne, you were bringing up like lavender oil or, any of these oils. And if you have a dream oil or like a psychic oil that you picked up somewhere, which I'm sure Pentagram has magical oils that work for psychic power, that work for, dream work or what have you. If you have one, whatever it is. And if you don't, then follow along with the herbs. But and even I don't want to say just a frankincense oil, something to bless the bag. It doesn't even have to necessarily be geared towards dreams. If it's just the fact that it's sort of blessing and feeding the bag. And then you can tuck that maybe in your pillowcase or tuck it, you know what I mean? So that it's with you when you're sleeping. And if you're worried about it, go moving on. If you're one of those people that moves a million times in your sleep, maybe you just tie it on something right above where your head is in the bed. Put it, if you have a headboard that you can loop it on or what have you. And otherwise, maybe your nightstand, but keep it with you, basically. And feed the bag. I would feed the bag, any night that you want to do that, I would feed the bag. And if you just want to keep it there, just keep it there. I would do a cycle every Monday because that's the moon's day. That's the day it's the best day for psychic work, right? So, so there you go. You've got
moon's day. She rules over sleep.
You've got your little, you've got your homework from the psychic tea. You're going to make yourself a dream bag, and work with it. But before we get too far, we should ask Tim, what's going on up there?
Hi, guys. We love the topic on dreams and just couldn't be a better season for it as we are entering into Pisces season. Pisces is the sign that rules dreams. So we've also got our North Node in Pisces that she'll come back, I'm sure, in just a sec. But yes, the North Node in Pisces, started just recently in January, and therefore this is an 18-month transit where Pisces energy is going to flourish. So tapping into dreams right now is really going to add to that magic wand energy that's already in the air with the North Node in Pisces. And I'll go ahead and I'm just going to start talking about the little astro forecast of what we've got going on currently. But we did start the month with a triple conjunction in Pisces with the moon, Neptune, and Venus, and of course the North Node. So this month started off like very magical, very dreamy, again, that Pisces energy. And so as we've gone through the month, we just had the full moon last night. Fixed signs were definitely affected because we had some fixed energy going on. But coming up in very, very soon, Mars is finally going to go direct. So Mars is in Cancer. And as he begins to shift direct and to go forward, Cancers and cardinal signs will definitely feel it. And this could also impact your physical health because Mars is about our physical energy, right? So if you're, and this is for anybody, but because Mars is known as the red planet because of all the iron that it has, this is a great time to increase our iron as well. So everybody increasing your iron, your vitamins, taking care of your health, especially this week as Mars shifts directions. We might feel a little shift, but finally projects will start to get a little more oomph, a little more strength. With Mars in retrograde, there could have been all kinds of issues that were just kind of not dealt with or buried, especially in the sign of Cancer, which is the crab. They walk sideways. They don't necessarily always deal with things directly, like they say, can be a little passive aggressiveness with Mars and Cancer. Hey, Sandra.
Isn't this fun?
You're back. We're just talking about Mars going direct in a few days.
I was listening.
Yeah, you're there.
I was listening.
Yeah, so tomorrow, Valentine's Day, Mercury does go into Pisces. So again, adding to this Pisces energy. And just for anyone who doesn't know, Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So I say it's encompasses all 12 signs. So that's why it's like the sponge of the zodiac, just absorbing energies from everyone. They have to be very careful because they are so sensitive, but they're
We
also
are.
of dreams. Yeah, the 12th house. I have my son in the 12th house. So my mom recounts that when I was born asleep. The doctor had to actually spank me to wake me up. But also, I did teach a class, and a lot of my students, the ones that actually did the best as far as when it comes to dreams and dream interpreting, had that 12th house energy, whether it's the sun in the 12th house or other planets in the 12th house. So if you have planets in the 12th house, you really should be keeping a dream journal for sure. Pisces energy, Pisces in general, really make sure you are listening to your dreams. Like you mentioned, Sandra, it starts with creating a space for dreams. I always say what you focus on expands. So if you don't have a dream journal, just putting a pen and paper next to your bed is going to create a physical space. And that's going to allow your mind to focus on it, to allow your dreams to come through more clearly. Maybe you'll start off with just a word. Then soon it will be a sentence. Soon you'll be writing a paragraph, because again, what you focus on expands. But people who don't dream, I feel, is because they don't make a place for it in their life. They don't work on it. They don't maybe allow it to come in. It's like a psychic ability that gets turned off. You can turn that off if you want, right? Sorry, I'm going off track on the astrology stuff. I'll come back to the dream stuff here, but I just wanted to mention that this is a great time for talking about dreams. That's with all this Pisces energy and the Pisces North Node for the next 18 months. But coming up in a few weeks, March is going to be kind of one of the most important months astrologically for the year. We've got 2 retrogrades. Venus goes retrograde starting March 1st. Mercury goes retrograde on the day of the lunar eclipse on the 13th. So that's going to be kind of intense and maybe a powerful energy transit there. But we do have also 2 eclipses in March. So that's going to be one, the lunar eclipse, and then the solar eclipse will come after that. And we've got the new astrological new year entering into Aries season. So Neptune is about to go into Aries at the end of the 30th. Saturn will go into Aries as well. But while we've got Saturn and Neptune still in Pisces, this is kind of like the last couple of months. We talk about Pisces and the Neptunian energies being very ethereal and fantasy-like, but Saturn is the planet that governs reality and bringing things into our physical world. So Saturn is definitely creating a lot more balance with the energies of Pisces and Neptune, but this is a great time to continue to focus on those magical energies, pulling our dreams into reality. We can also pull our fears into our reality if we're just kind of going through life, whatever. So if we're not consciously focusing on manifesting, our subconscious is going to do it for us and we'll manifest other things. So, but tapping into our dreams, into that magical ability, Saturn and Neptune, both in Pisces, is kind of like Neptune is increasing the ability to dream. Saturn is increasing the ability to bring those dreams into reality. So tapping into our dreams, finding out those messages is just going to help us figure it all out. I love dreams. It's the beginning of my spiritual journey personally, because I am a dreamer. I come from a family of dreamers and grew up hearing about dream interpretations spoken about from my mom and grandma and aunt. So I love this topic. I could go on all day about it. But
you said you were working on a book.
I am. And you know what? Thank you for allowing me to mention it, because this is the first time I am officially announcing it publicly of our dream, the dream book. I say our because I feel like it is a collaboration of everything, but our group has had, but I do have a dream group. It's not as active, but it's still active. People post their dreams, they get free dream interpretations, and it allows people to hone their skills and develop them. That's really how I did it, was just practicing. Practice is perfect on dream interpretation. So this started many years ago, like 2010, I want to say, and we started with about 100 people, grew to about 7,000 now. So over the years, it was too many dreams to keep up with. So I did create a class to teach others what I knew about dreams and how to interpret them. And so our group grew, we flourished. It was an amazing time of just learning about dreams and all spiritual topics, ghosts, paranormal things, all kinds of things were covered in there, because literally dreams touches everything. And this is another reason for that book. So the book, there's so many dream books out there. It was very intimidating for me to want to put something out there, but I really am focusing more on the experience of
Yes.
what we've all learned in this group together as a community. Who knows if this community is going to be around any more longer, with all the changes and maybe social media. But for now, I plan to memorialize all these past years, all the things we've learned about dreams, dream interpretation, dream catchers, dream pillows. I used to make dream pillows as well for a short time. I made one for my son, exactly the same way with the pouch you talked about. Just I would kind of put it inside the pillow.
Right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And that could be good. Your idea is great because it allows you to feed it and nurture it and other things, right? But if you use a dream pillow, you go that route. I always recommend a pillowcase, because then you don't have to wash the whole pillow. You can just do the case, and that kind of helps with the maintenance of it. But I had one customer that she had hers for months and months and months, and she's like, she just could never stop talking about it, how it just still, after months and months, she still had a scent, all of that stuff. So these things are of course tools to help us to remember. Physically speaking, vitamin B, I eat a banana sometimes before bed, and then immediately my dream activity kind of goes up a little. But those types of things with vitamin B, and just eating healthy stuff, period, because we put ourselves in coma sometimes, even going out for drinking, that's why you can go out, get drunk, sleep literally all night, and wake up so tired, because we didn't allow our minds to dream. So even though our body's physically rested, our minds, when we're sleeping, is sorting out all of the energy and information we capture through the day, and it's sorting it out, so that one question that we just couldn't find the answer to, that was right in front of our face the whole time, our subconscious is going to here's a dream, and it's going to be crazy and wild, so you remember it. That's the shock factor.
Yep.
And so that's part of the shock factor of our own minds creating these crazy things, is so we will get it, so we'll listen, so we'll remember it. Or we're going to remember something mundane, or us just walking down the street. No, but if we're walking down the street and there's a dog 10 times bigger than us, we'll remember that, right?
Right.
So, but yes, thank you for allowing me to mention that, because again, I plan to have it done in the next couple of months. I'm trying to tap into the Saturn, Neptune energy in Pisces. So this book has been a project for many, many years, but in 2022 was when I scrapped everything and started over during the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction. So that's when it started in April, where I just revamped everything, and now it's complete. It's just being in editing right now. And I really would love to complete it with the Saturn conjunct Neptune. I think it would just be perfect, like astrologically, Jupiter connecting with Saturn through Pisces. So again, towards the end of this year, going into next year, we're all going to be moving into the Aries energy, leaving this Pisces energy. And Aries is a completely different energy, much bolder. But for now, we have this wonderful, magical, blissful energy of many planets moving through Pisces, and the North Node in Pisces. So yeah, this month, tomorrow we've got Mercury moving to Pisces. We will increase that romance and the for Valentine's Day. Maybe a little sadness for some people who are single, but treat yourself. If you are single, do something magical for yourself. I wouldn't do anything crazy or like labor intensive this weekend. I feel like this weekend is just a chillax weekend. So even if you're single, go on a date with yourself, because the romance is in the air.
I love that.
I love that.
So if people want to get involved with the Dream Group, where do they go?
Yeah, and I am, to be honest, we haven't actually been accepting members even. We've been very discreet. But we're going to start accepting now. And so I'm going to use this opportunity, but it is on Facebook. It's called Dream Codes. The name of the class that I created was called Deciphering Dream Codes, and that's going to be the name of the book as well. So the book is based on the class. It was a 5-week course that taught people how to dream, but the book has allowed me to throw a lot more information in there. So there'll be even more things talking about the dream pillow I created for my son, a couple recipes I came up with, dream catchers as well. Dream catchers were first created by the Ojibwe tribe, kind of in the north, but it did spread to pretty much all of the Native American tribes. And the cool thing about dream catchers and Native Americans is they're not exclusive. They won't get mad if you decide to use a dream catcher. I think it's wonderful for anyone that wants to use a dream catcher. And one thing that I do is I keep it by a window or somewhere where light will touch it, because the idea of the dream catcher is all the bad dreams that get caught get burned up with the morning light.
Mine is in my bedroom window.
Yeah. This one I have from one of my mentors that he made this for me many years ago. I'll show you really quickly if you can see it.
Yep.
So that's the big one.
Yep.
And he loves animals as well. So he created that, but dream catchers are an amazing thing to have in gifts. So I do keep mine by the light. Above your bed, of course, is great as well. And it's said that all the good dreams, also get caught but trickle down through the feathers. And so the other ones get stuck in the web and stay there. For anyone who is interested in a dream catcher, I think those are great gifts and great things to have just as a tool. Protection as well. People can use them for protection as well.
Yep.
But dreams, as you mentioned, Sandra, is the one thing that we all experience, but it's also the one supernatural thing that we are the only ones who see it. We all kind of see UFOs or Bigfoot or other supernatural things, but dreams is the one thing only we see. But we all experience it, so that's a supernatural phenomenon within itself. But through the thousands and thousands of years, we still do not understand everything about dreams. I will say that. We are still learning, absolutely. But we've made a lot of progress. And just from learning about what you were talking, I wanted to talk more about your thoughts on lucid dreaming and astral travel.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to let Leanne take the lucid dreaming reins because Leanne is definitely the lucid dreamer of the two of us, because as soon as my rational mind gets involved, I'm awake. I haven't quite gotten to the point where I stay in the dream but gain conscious control. Yeah. Because my whole conscious brain jumps right in.
It happens during night,
and then I'm awake. So
when I'm sorry, when I have nightmares, I fixate on a person that I'm familiar with who is in the dream. You've been in the dream, Sandra. You've been in a nightmare with me. And I start to panic because it's a nightmare. Whatever creepy thing is coming out of the dark. And you look at me and you go, "You're dreaming." And I go, "Okay." So why don't we have, and whoever it is, and you would say to me, "Well, let's have fun with this." And at that moment, I know I'm dreaming. So then, of course, I get a sword and I kill whatever, or I go into and it turns into something beautiful. At that point, I can gain some control of the dream. And sometimes I'll ask whatever it is. I have asked people in my dream if they were dreaming as well. And they have told me they were.
Okay.
Because I want to know if we're linking dreams.
That's fascinating.
I'm like, are we dreaming the same thing when we dream? Can we connect as humans on the astral together? And I believe we can. I've had people been like, "Oh, I dreamt that." And it was very, very similar to whatever dream I had. And I think it's to me, it's a psychic phenomenon.
Yeah.
Yep. And I believe people can connect with this way. I believe I've been able to do that with my mother, mostly.
Very cool.
From an astrologer point of view, I noticed the sign of Aquarius is a natural astral traveler. So if you're in Aquarius, or if you have Aquarius strong in your chart, you probably visit people's dreams. And if they tell you, "Oh, I had the same dream as this," then that's a kind of a proof or whatever. But yeah, the lucid dreaming, you got to have like some imagination, ability to kind of allow yourself to go through. But the waking part, the lucid part, comes from our conscious mind, but the dreams come from our subconscious. So you're right, Sandra. It's that borderline from going from conscious to subconscious that we're still trying to manage. But yeah, you easily can wake up controlling your dreams.
My mother's a Pisces and you're a Pisces, right? I'm just so
Right.
I tend to do that, like have dreams with people.
The water people.
Water people.
Yeah.
Anybody
And moon,
water.
moon things too, like any prominent moon. Well, you're a Cancer, Leanne, so you're ruled by the moon, of course. I was born during a full moon as well, so I've got the moon being prominent in my chart. But moon placements, Neptune, of course, Pisces, any Pisces placements. You guys are dreamers. Keep a dream journal. But Aquarians, I've noticed, are also have because they have vivid imaginations, they just naturally are able to astral travel. But you got to be careful to ground and release as well, because I know some Aquarians who have done it not knowing what they're doing. And when they wake up, it's like they got hit with a ton of bricks because they didn't release it, or, that energy you got to let go of. You can pull it into your body. So
right.
Just wanted to mention that.
Now, in terms of astral travel, I've done that. And I proved that I did it to myself anyway. When I was a kid, I dreamt that I flew up over the water tank. So I don't know if while you were in Salem, if you came to Gallows Hill, but if you did, there's a giant water tank and it has a giant like Salem witch painted on the side of it, and it's been there, it was there before I was born. So I dreamt that I flew up over it, and I flew over the whole like area, and I saw what the area looked like aerially in that dream. And I had no way of doing that other than in the dream. But I knew exactly what the top of the thing looked like. My husband, many, okay, not so many, a couple of decades later, I get married. I marry a guy that gets a drone. He takes the drone up and flies it over that same area. It's exact. It was like when he showed me the footage, it was like he was showing me a footage of my dream.
Wouldn't that be cool if we could do that?
I was like, that is like an exact replica of what I saw, even to the top of the thing. And I was like, wow. Now, was I psychic and I saw the future of me seeing the drone footage? Or did I astral travel up over, right?
You're getting me going now.
Yeah, it could be both.
Yes. How about the answer to that question? Yes and yes?
Yes and yes. I would say the same thing. You know what I say about prophetic dreams is that you never really know if a dream is prophetic until it actually comes true. And if it comes true, then it probably was prophetic.
Right? But we can also say that there are sometimes anxiety dreams that stem from our internalized anxiety, and they're not actually going to come true. And so sometimes I've had them, dreams about war and dreams about things, and they're very scary, but they're not prophetic. They're just, it's our body's way of somehow discharging or processing the anxiety. And it gives us anxiety dreams. And it can give us some doom and gloom, type of stressful, or like a bad guy is chasing you through oh my God. When I was a kid, I used to have that all the time. The bad guy chasing me through my house, right? And you can't run fast enough in that dream. And you are like feeling like you're feeling like you should be moving 1,000,000 miles an hour, and it's like you're practically in slow motion, or like you're trying to fight somebody that's fighting you, and you're like throwing a punch and your hand is going so slow, and you're like,
I hate that.
Come on, like I can fight better than this. Like, but that's a lot of that is just anxiety and like stress somehow working its way out in the dream. And I guess if I was going to take a look at that from a psychic perspective, I would say this might be the universe telling you need to eliminate some of these situations or people in your life that are really stressing you out. Like if this is like a chronic thing, it's time to do a review of your situations and figure out where you can, where you can eliminate some stress, right?
Mhm.
I mean, I think that's, and Caleb had a question about how can we better decipher dreams that are more abstract?
Can I answer? I'm going to say just one thing, but you guys, of course, can chime in. But this is where the group that I have, or, could be great, just as an example. But for me, it's about practice. You got to practice it, the dream interpretation. So that's why the group has been great learning experience for many people of the dream codes. But it's also why I'm writing this book, because through all the dream books I've ever seen, I've never really seen one that has captured like just really important things, like how to a very basic model of how to interpret dreams and that sort of thing. So that's another thing that I'm putting out there. What I've learned and what I teach in the group, and what you can learn for free through the group as well, but putting it in a book format, because the class interest has died down and I'm not doing any live teaching on dream interpretation. But to answer your question,
and I do, by the way.
I'm sorry?
Ian and I have a class on dream interpretation. We
Great.
have a class on dream work. It covers astral travel. It covers quite a bit. And we've done that class several times at different events and things.
So that's a great tool to learn how to better decipher your dreams. But yeah, the main thing, I guess, is just starting off by not taking them literally, or like you said, prophetic. Not all dreams are prophetic. Not all dreams are literal. We have to try to write it down and then look at it metaphorically. And so
I also feel like you have to develop a dream dictionary for yourself. In other words,
yes,
just like with the tea, when Leanne and I teach tea leaf reading, we both teach it that anything you have as a association with an image comes above whatever historical thing has been written about said image in the hierarchy of what do I need to learn. It's like a Rorschach test, right? Your interpretation is more important. It's up here, So while I think it's important to bounce things off, and let me say to anybody out there that gets troubled, by a dream, etc., get a reading, consult another person, you know what I mean? Like, do follow up with somebody, but absolutely, like, your interpretation, and then like historical interpretation
and cultural Italians, we have certain things that if you dream of mean something. If you dream of a wedding, it means someone's going to die. It's not a good thing to do.
I am so glad you said that, Leanne, because
there are different things.
Yeah, I was about to ask you.
Level, like, I grew up with knowing. So if you're dreaming, little things, weddings,
Leanne,
birth,
what is
they
teeth?
mean certain things.
What is your view on teeth?
Oh my God, it means shit's falling apart. But if you dream, now you're gonna laugh. If you dream of crap or poop, it means you're gonna get money. Money's coming in.
I love that you
this is stuff I can't make up.
It's true.
Make up this stuff. Birds, don't dream of a bird. Most of the stuff, very little is good. I have the only thing that's good is what's bad. So if you dream someone dies, it means they're going to live a long life. I was in Aruba. I had a dream.
Or they're getting married, right? Death could be the opposite.
It could be the opposite. It's crazy. It's like, everything's upside down in the dream world, right? And it's crazy. I've had some like really nutty dreams. I had an aunt, and I think I told you this story because my cousin whose mother died. My aunt Nikki. She was sick, but I had a dream. She went into the church, right? And I'm sitting in a church. And she opened the doors. And the minute she opened the doors, all the light came into the church. It was a very dark, scary church. And she looked at me. She goes, Yeah. I'm going home, and left. I woke up to the call that she died that day. I had told my mother the dream. No, I was able to tell my mother the dream. So when she's like, Leanne, she died. You dreamt she died. And my whole family, I love people, was, it's real. She's really doing it. And I'm like, finally, I'm like, yes. Not that I'm happy my aunt died. She was 100 years old. God bless her.
But I'm glad you mentioned the cultural thing.
It's cultural. Does anyone have any cultural stories of dreams?
I grew up, Mexican culture, and the same thing, the wedding, the death, the tea. But my mom, I used to remember this, and this was maybe something subconsciously, but maybe wanted me to write this book, is that we used to, in bookstores sometimes, she'd get a dream book, and she would always go to the symbol of the teeth. And if it only talked about conversation or words, she would close it and put it back. and she just could never find a book that talked about some of the cultural stuff like you talked about. But while teeth can represent how you view or viewed by others, how your words, expression, it can also culturally, it represents people. So like a loose tooth could represent getting sick. Losing a tooth could lose a relationship or death, if you lose. But if your teeth are nice and clean, that means great relationships. So that's one of the things that I put in there in my book, that, a symbol can have different
layers of meaning.
Or more meanings. Yeah, like a dream could be multifaceted. And maybe, Sandra, you look at it one way, you have an interpretation. Leanne is completely different. And they both can make sense. And they both can have. Yeah.
Oh, sure. And even when a person has an association and there's some kind of historical, lore that's associated, both of those things can be true. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying override one with the other. I'm saying, like, in order of priority, I would put the personal reference, but I would never disregard the lore, because that could be the next thing, you know what I mean? So it's or a
deeper message.
Always look at all of it.
Different things mean different
more
things.
Than
to
one
people.
thing can be true at once, guys. More than one thing can be true. So it's not a matter. It's not an either or situation. Things are so much more complicated than that. So. The complexities of this and the layers.
Or dreaming about famous people, whenever somebody posts a dream in our group of someone famous or even the president, my first question is always, how do you feel about that person? Yeah. Because that's going to really change the dream message, positive or negative.
So I have a dream animus, right? So Jung talked about the animus, right?
Animus, yeah.
So I have a dream animus. I have the I don't know, the vision, I guess, that my brain locked into when I was a kid, that was somebody that I would pay attention to, right? Because like you said, it needs to be something you're going to remember. It needs to be something you're going to pay attention to. So it can't just be a random face or whatever, because you're going to lose that 5 minutes after you wake up. It's got to be a face you're going to absolutely not mistake, and you're going to remember it, and it's going to stick whatever the message was in your brain. And, save the hate on this, guys. I'm not accepting messages about this, but my animus is Gene Simmons in full makeup. And has been my entire life since I was a kid. And when Gene Simmons shows up in the dream and starts talking, this girl starts listening, because he's never been wrong, ever. He's been right about every single thing. So I listen to that man. When that man shows up and that tongue starts wagging, I'm listening, because I'm like, this is my animus talking to me. This is my higher self wearing a mask that I'm going to actually pay attention to and remember. And it's like, I don't know, I'm getting a psychic information in the dream, and it's like, I know it. Mm-hmm. And that's I guess the closest that I can say to like lucid dreaming, because I will be in the dream acknowledging that this is important. Something in my brain goes, this is important. Remember this. As soon as I see that face, I'm like, this is important. I have to remember this. So it's crazy as anything, but it's been like, this happened. He showed up recently. I hadn't seen a dream like that in 10 years. And he showed up.
Would you consider him a spirit guide of some
Isn't
sort?
that wild? Isn't that wild? How do you have
No,
a
I think
spirit
that's
guide?
amazing.
How do you have a spirit guide that's still alive in another, you know what I mean? Like
different form. Yeah.
So it's like, how does this
Well,
work?
I took a spirit guide class a long time ago, and I remember people talking about different people or images they've come across, and I felt so weird because I didn't have those experiences myself. But for me, I always get messages with animals, and it's just, the universe, I think, talks to you with the way you're going to understand it. For you, it's Gene Simmons with a mask. For me, it's an animal. It's not a person. For Leanne, maybe it's someone else.
Sometimes it's I've had the dead. A lot of times it is my family of crossed over will come and communicate with me when I'm in that plane. I find that when we dream of people who crossed over, and it's a dream you truly remember, like it's it, when it's them.
You can't even get in. If we were going to do that,
that's another whole thing.
That needs to be its own show.
But it is part of, for me, it's part of my dreaming process. And I have dreamt of certain animals or more like creatures that I'm able to connect with. Sometimes it's bees. Like I'll get stung by a bee to say pay. That's something that wants me to pay attention or to be aware of what is around me.
To be aware?
To be
aware. Absolutely.
I'm 12 years old today.
I can't help it. I'm like,
what's going on?
I'm having a remarkable morning. Thank you, by the way, all of you, for changing my morning, because it wasn't good. I was like, rain? First it was snowing. Doesn't matter. When I'm dreaming, I feel like I'm able now to really, really be at peace when I sleep. I can literally feel it, and the symbols and the messages are all there. And as far as abstract dreams, which are kind of like, I don't know, like a Matisse painting or Picasso with all these mysteries you're putting together. Sometimes if I don't sleep for a while and then I finally am able to fall asleep, I feel like it's like an overload of information and it comes out like this crock-eyed crazy kind of thing. And the minute I recognize in the morning, the next night I go to sleep, it's like a smooth sleep.
A release. Could be
it's
a release
almost
dream.
like a dump, information dump.
Like a photo dump.
It's too crammed. I only have 8 hours I'm asleep, right? And it has to all come in. And I'm going to tell you about my I don't know if you guys have anything that monitors your sleep.
Those are awesome.
Yeah, the Apple Watch does. Yeah,
Apple Watch, the Fitbit. It tells me when I'm deep sleeping. It lets you know when you're dreaming.
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yes, I can look at the history and go back, and yes, the Apple Watch does that. It's pretty good. It's pretty good about it. It's pretty good about it. It's good. It's got some, it's not quite perfect yet with certain things, but it is good for a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's got some heart rate quirks, but I was actually just talking to the cardiologist about that. Yeah. But but it's good about the dreaming, I think. I think it's pretty good about the recognizing what layer of sleep you're in. So when it'll tell you when you're in the kind that you need to rejuvenate yourself, it'll tell you all the layers. It shows all the layers and how much time each night you spent in each of those layers, and it'll say optimal, you need to get X amount, you know what I mean? And it'll tell you if you're not hitting that. So my thing is, I've had situations where I've worn the watch all day and now it's time to go to bed. And I'm like, I need to charge the watch because it's not going to go all night. You know what I mean? So I need to get in a habit where there's a certain time of day that I take the watch off to charge it so that I can still wear it through the night. So I still gotta figure that out. But yeah.
I would say one last thing. I would just mention a little peek of something in my book, but talking about nightmares and lucid dreaming, the same advice I give to adults is pretty much the same advice I give to children. The only difference is that children can do it better than adults because they're not so programmed, So just a little story of from our group, as a lady posted about a little girl coming up to her. She worked at a preschool, and it said, Miss Sharon, I'm having these dreams of this bad guy. And she's like, she doesn't even know why this girl came up to her. She's not like, she wasn't a direct teacher over her, but she somehow recognized something in her. So she came to the group with this, and I told her, tell her she is more powerful and more stronger than any of these monsters she encounters in her dream, and tell her she can tell them to go away, or she can imagine a weapon to beat them away, whatever. So she went back, she told her, and she reported a couple days later that the little girl came up to her and said, Miss Sharon, I had another dream, and I told the man to go away from the horses because that was the dream. This man was killing the horses, and so she was very sad about it. So she told them to go away. The man left, and the horses were safe, and she was happy. And that day, ironically, was the first day she didn't give her mom any trouble of coming to school. I guess she had been giving her mom trouble, and it was coming out behaviorally. So overcoming those monsters, part of lucid dreaming is just facing those fears, knowing that you can overcome them. And I always say, all's well that ends well. No matter how crazy the dream is, if you end up winning, that means you're going to overcome your situation. But I give that same advice to adults. I just think adults, it's a little harder for us to do that, or have that imagination that we have that power. But when you teach them young, and don't tell kids it's just a dream, let them talk about it, let them express it, right? And then empower them and let them know they have all the tools they need to defeat. And my son, he was very imaginative when he was younger. He would tell me about dreams with a big old gun and a knife, and he chopped the head off and he wrapped them in chains, but he beat the monster, right? So I was like, okay, that's okay, son. He has a great imagination. But at the end of the day, all's well that ends well. And that's a sign that he's going to overcome that monster in real life. And those are the real monsters we're facing, right? They just become monsters in our dreams to help us to face them. So that is the power of dreams, in my opinion, is empowering ourselves. As the more time, with more fears we conquer, the more power we get back, and becoming us more powerful and more authentic, which is in the process, right?
I feel like psychic people, people that don't develop their psychic talent, it comes out through dreams. If they put it to the side or deny it, or they're just like not pursuing it, and they're not taking any form of training to understand their talent, that's where it's really going to come out. It's going to come out in dreams. And a lot of people that I have done psychic readings for over the years that had like high levels of anxiety were actually psychic people, highly sensitive people who had no training, no filter, no protection, and were bombarded with everybody else's everything all day long, and were absorbing psychic energy and just picking up everybody's trash all day long. And so they would, say, how do I, I'm got anxiety, bad dreams, this, that, it's terrible, it's this. And I'm like, have you read any books or taken any classes on how to protect yourself psychically and how to develop your psychic talent? And they're like, no. And I'm like, right. And that's exactly what's going on. Like in this house, we don't have a garbage disposal. Okay. So nothing can go down that drain. And I've had to teach anybody that's come to live here over the course of my lifetime, do not throw anything down that drain. You have to catch it in the little strainer and throw it in the trash, because there's nothing down there that's going to, chop up the food small enough. It's going to clog. And then we're going to have a big problem. We're going to have to call a plumber and everything else. And it's just like that with psychic information. It's like, if you don't have that garbage disposal, if you don't have that filter, if you don't have that protection to, like, you know, chop up all that, everybody's offloading constantly because they're also not, trained or anything. So they're like just putting, their trash out there every minute of the day, their negativity, their whatever, their stress, their this, their that. And so, and the people are just picking up on this. And one of the places this pops out in life is dreams. And then when people have, like you said, people start having bad dreams and then they carry it into the day. Do you ever have a dream that your partner cheated on you? You wake up and they're like, good morning. And they're like, yeah. Oh, yeah. Good morning. That's what you have to say to me. And it's like, what's wrong with you? And you're like, I had a dream you cheated on. And that person's like, you had a dream. What are you talking about? So it's like you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and then, you're like pissed at life. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things where that's where it's going to come out. It's going to come out in the dream world first, and then it's going to leak over into everything else. So, picking up a book on how to work with your psychic ability and how to actually get the information that you're supposed to have and filter out all the crap, that's going to be worth its weight in gold, really.
There you go.
So many people, I'm sure, Leanne, you have a million war stories about people that you've read for that you were like, you're actually psychic, but you just don't know how to do it.
You don't know how to process. And this is, plenty of people. It's one of the things I ask people. How are your dreams? How are you sleeping? How do you close the day? Mm-hmm. And, having a nighttime ritual every night will help you sleep better and also be able to retain your dreams. Going to bed at a consistent time and doing repeated steps. I advise people to pray every night, whether you're whatever deity you're connecting with, connect to your higher power, into your ancestors, give them gratitude before you sleep. And then your dreams will be very, very strong,
And your ancestors will come and talk to you in your dreams.
Absolutely. 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 And it's not just ancestors. Sometimes it literally is a message, not just from our beloved dead, but from deity, from God, whatever that is. What does that mean to you? But it's the angels will communicate with you. I believe that. I believe that they're trying to show us the way. And sometimes that's the only time we will be still enough to listen, to be unconscious, because we're all stupid and we're too busy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dreams was the beginning of my everything spiritual. It just kind of branched out. I started having weird dreams of predicting things that were going to happen. So instead of fearing them or just shutting them out, I researched. Like you said, Sandra, I read books. I looked into it. I learned about all of these things, and that's how they grow. Now I do divination as a side career. And, it all started, dreams is a form of divination. It's in the Bible. There's a whole books on it, but to me, it's the very first form of divination we can connect with ourselves personally with,
Yeah. And they are very private until we share them, we are the only ones who know they're there until we share them with somebody. So, and we share them with the people that we trust.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And then you can, or a professional, you can reach out, or if you're in a group like yours, you can share them if you choose to with strangers and have strangers, one of the ways that I've helped people develop psychically is by doing this kind of, there are these like oracle cards, I guess, but they don't have any like words. They're just photos. I think they're called soul cards, actually. And I've used them when I've helped people develop their psychic ability. And it's very like dream interpretation, because it's just like a piece of artwork. And so we've done readings where people will pull the cards, and then everyone goes around and says what they think, how they think that card relates to that person or that person's situation. And scarily accurate, and it's like, but there's nothing prescribed. They're not tarot cards where it's like you look in the book and the 3 of Pentacles means this. No, there's no book.
Ooh, I like this.
Cards.
So it's a trigger. You see it and
whatever.
I like that.
And I've shared that information with other people that had groups of their own, and they were like, oh, I'm going to steal that and do it with my group. And I'm like, yeah, go for it. It's very effective in helping people who are intimidated to learn the tarot, or, because they're intimidated about the memorization aspect, or like, I have to remember what everything means and la, la, la. This is a way to get them associating, just psychically picking up on the messages and identifying based on the things that they see, and tuning into the person that picked the card. Because what we'll do is sit in a circle and everyone will choose a card and put the card in front of them, and then everyone else gets, and like they get a meaning in their own head for the card they picked. They look at it and they decide, I think this is what, they don't share it. And everyone around the room goes around and says what they think that card means to that person. And at the end, the person who pulled the card gets to say, well, when I first pulled it, I got this impression from it. I felt like it meant this to me. I felt like it was talking about this situation, or whatever they choose to share. But they've already heard everybody else's feedback. They've gotten kind of like an open forum of feedback, which I imagine is kind of like what happens in the group, where somebody says, I had this dream and it goes like this. And then everyone's kind of like, here's what I think that means. And so that person may have already developed a framework of what they think the dream refers to, but they're either looking for validation, or they're looking for maybe like, am I missing something? Or they're looking for a second opinion because they don't like what they think it is, and they're hoping someone will come up with something better. I mean, whatever it is, but it helps everybody in the group just get in touch with their intuition without worrying about if they're right. Because there is no way to be right, other than, because like it's about the future or whatever anyway. So it's like, there's no right in that moment anyway. So it's all about conjecture. It's all about, but sometimes people have just shut down, and this is a way to open back up, and we do that with crystals, and we do that with herbs, and we do that with the mantras and the things that we say. And I'm always going to reinforce the idea, like Leanne, of like having a routine before bed, or something that you're doing right before you go to sleep and right when you wake up. Because before you even get your day started, that's when you've got that moment, that precious moment before everything starts and everything, and here goes the wheel again. You've got that moment. And if you can color that moment with something that really feeds your soul, you're going to have a better day. And if you take that breath before you go to sleep, you're going to have a better night's rest. That's going to prepare you better for the next day. So it's like, the idea of touching base right before sleep. And like you said, the dream journal. And if you can't even manage the journal, manage a note in your phone. Yeah. And just jot some notes in a note on your phone. If you can't even get the pencil and the book happening or whatever, at least you can tell Siri, take a note, dream, blah, 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 blah. And you can look at it later, maybe if you're bounding out of bed or whatever, but like make at least a note of it. And that's how you'll start to build your own kind of like code and your own, interpretations for what you see. And you can recognize patterns. And then you'll start to decode those dreams for yourself. So,
yeah, dreams are very personal. So some people, as a dream interpreter, I've come across, when you're dealing with dreams, so the subconscious is speaking, they people may not be ready to face their fears all the time. So don't get discouraged if they discount what you say. But ultimately, as a dream interpreter, it's the one type of divination where we have to be just kind of humble and just know that the dreamer is the best interpreter. They're the ones that saw it and experienced it. So if they say, no, it doesn't resonate, we just kind of have to step back, even if we feel it does, and not take it personal.
Oh, I think every psychic needs to hear that advice. I don't care what kind of thing you're doing.
Right. That's true. Yeah. People are sometimes just not ready to hear certain messages. And other times maybe we are incorrect. And this is a learning moment for us, you know, but sometimes it's the other.
Right. And, you know, it is only as effective as it is. Sometimes someone can tell you something and you almost make them wrong because you choose differently based on what they just said to you. So if they say, like, you know, oh, I had a psychic tell a woman one time that her relationship was not going to pan out, that this relationship that she had just started was not going to pan out. It's many, I think it's now been 8 years that they've been together, right? But it's almost like you wonder, did she like dig her heels in because she wanted it to work? It was almost because she was so offended that she got told that it wasn't going anywhere, that you're almost kind of like, did she double down and be like, I'm going to put up with whatever this psychic saw me walking away because of? I'm actually going to double down and nope, it's not going to get me. I'm going to hang in there. So it's like, it's really funny.
Yeah, could become a catalyst.
Sometimes the advice we get, whether it's from dreams or a psychic or whatever it's from, we don't understand how it makes us go in the right direction, but it makes us go in the right direction, or maybe not. And it's a learning experience, but in either way, we have the free will. You know, I love to tell people it's not set in stone. So how can you guarantee a psychic is right when all they're doing is seeing like possibilities?
The current
it
path
hasn't happened yet. So how are you going to tell somebody they're not right? Because you could literally make them wrong. Do something to absolutely make them wrong. You have the free will. So ultimately the choice is yours. I tell people all the time, the reading is it's a map. It's not the territory. It's a map. It's not the territory. It's showing you possibilities for the route, but it's not the route. It's just you're going, you know, you're the traveler. So you can choose, you know, even if somebody lays out a perfect path, you could walk in the opposite direction out of spite. So it's like, you know, it is what it is, but
absolutely.
Anyway.
Choose well.
Choose wisely.
Choose wisely.
All right. Well, thank you, Tim, for a lively discussion on dreams and how we are going to leverage those dreams, hopefully, for our better, you know, to better live the lives that we want to live. And
and thank you for the opportunity to talk about it. Like I said, this is the first time publicly I'm mentioning the book, Deciphering Dream Codes, but it's coming out a couple months, guys. Just stay tuned. It's going to be a great resource, and of course it's a great story as well. So thank you guys for having me. As always, best of the next month. Enjoy these wonderful Pisces vibes before retrograde season next month, right?
Awesome.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Love you guys.
I don't.
Why isn't it doing it? I give up. Everyone have a great month.
Now here you go again. You say, want your freedom.